right, are you ready?
You're muted, baby love.
Am I? Shoot. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Can y'all hear?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Maybe.
Maybe, maybe not.
Oh, self-explanatory. Well,
Hold on,
I
let me
will.
double check.
I will just.
Oh, okay, there we go.
All
We
right.
got a yes.
From Thomas to everyone. Yes. Hello, Thomas. How are you? Hopefully good.
And Mary.
Marianne, what's up? What's up? Hey, so who came to last night's class?
Nobody.
Oh, what a mix-up. So I taught last night's class at the time I was supposed to teach it, 9 o'clock, but it was scheduled for my time, midnight, actually, which was a little bit of a miscue. But we made it work. So um if you need that link, we can get it to you. I think they emailed it out too, but we posted it. Uh, all the roll to moves are on the Miniature Monthly. We have a special channel for roll to move playlist, and so everything gets posted up there. So you didn't miss anything because you could watch it again. Okay, so tonight is textures, and textures are they're kind of cool because one, you can put a really bad base coat on something, and then that's the start of your texture. So that's kind of nice. And it also just brings some life to your miniatures. Leather being leathery or whatnot. Different clothing materials being looking like they're supposed to. So we're gonna jump in and start some textures on the Grail Knight, who's my new favorite model. That is a really super cool model. And let's see, let me get my camera down in the right spot, in the way of everybody. This is how I look best, behind the camera, just like that.
Stop it.
Okie dokie. Let us get rolling. I have everything in different ways. Okay, so we are going to be, this is the actual studio model that I painted. He looks super nifty. Really, really love this model. And we're going to be doing sort of this texture, sort of like the woolen texture of his, I don't know what that's called, his tunic. Then we're also going to work a little bit on his cape and do a little bit of the leathers for him. This was last night's model. Well, of course you missed the class, but I didn't. I was there.
But
Liz
maybe
was
they
there.
watched it.
Maybe they watched it. So this was kind of like metallics, and they look really cool, just sort of sparkly in the light. And so, yeah, super cool. And if you wanted to see the OG version, the one I did for the box art, it's right here. Super cool. I I really like all their knights. They're just such good sculpts. So this is it. I'm starting with the Zenithal Prime. The knight, the metallics I started with just black, because metallics go over black much better. But for something like this, I definitely want to have that Zenithal Prime so I can kind of see where I've got some lights and shadows going on, and we can, kind of get going from there. So the colors I want to choose for this, I'm going to use this caramel brown. I need some black. I love satin black. I'm a monument guy, but you can use any paints you want. It's whatever you like to use, but I really like the Monument brand. Satin black's my favorite black because it's a little bit shiny and it makes it look darker. So it's from the Adepticon set. This caramel brown is from the Flamey on Miniature set. And so we've got that. And then maybe a little bit of white. And do I want ivory? Or do I want bone? Maybe we'll try a few of these little colors. So the trick with doing these textures is sometimes you want different shades of color going down. And so maybe pulling from several different colors is the right move. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Marianne? She knows what I'm saying.
She does.
She does.
She didn't say it yet, but I just know.
Yeah, I know it in my heart of hearts. Marianne's thinking it. Even if she's not thinking it. So, I was putting my colors out on the palette. We love Marianne. She's awesome. All right, so we got this. Any questions as I'm getting started? I know we haven't really done anything, so there may not be questions to ask. But if you have questions, go ahead and ask. And I will choose whether or not to answer them.
What?
This guy taught a class. He didn't answer any of the questions we asked. No, I won't answer. Even if I don't know what I'm talking about, I will answer the question as asked. Okay, so we want to start with a little bit darker color. I don't know if I'm going to go with exactly the same shades as I've got going here, but if you notice, our darkest color is like a little, it's not a super dark gray, but it's like a little bit darker gray. So if I take my caramel color, this is just a lighter brown, sort of a yellowish brown. Maybe mix a little bit of black into it. And sometimes maybe a little bit of white. You get gray, grayish brown. You can start by painting that on. And a lot of times I just follow my zenithal prime. In this case, it might be quicker and easier to just paint it all on. So we'll just start with this. I'll show you sort of the zenithal or painting with the zenithal prime on the back cape, because it is a very effective, fast way of doing it. And I think maybe that could be a little bit darker. So it's funny. It looks like this on the palette, and then it's not as dark on the miniature. Look, it's not nearly that dark. That looks really dark. That looks not so dark. So sometimes you just got to put the paint on the model and keep adjusting it from there. So we will do this. Maybe I'll go a little bit darker down low and a little bit lighter up high, but this is still all my shadow color. So I might want to bring this back a little bit lighter. Put this around. Up here. I'm just going to paint over this symbol in the chest because it will be way easier. Grab some of my darker color. So I'm always like painting kind of wet on wet. And I just let the colors kind of mix together. Trick there is don't put too much paint on your model, because then they don't mix. They just move around each other. And that's never good. Never a good sign. What do you guys think of that new Perilous Expeditions deal with the teeny tiny models? Seen a lot of people raving about it. Especially the paint jobs. The whoever did those, just amazing. It's funny, I'm always telling Scott, you know, my eyes are getting worse and worse. You need to make the models bigger. And so what did they do? They made the smallest models they've ever made. But they were fun to paint. One good thing about a small model is it paints up pretty quick. All right. So we got that. Now we can just start. So you can see very clearly I've got a little bit lighter areas, the lighter dark caramel, and then the darker dark caramel down here. I'll go back and make sure I got all these cracks and crevices done. Oh, there's the back side of this. Don't forget that. All right, we got this. Do the top part up here. Very cool. While that's drying, I'm just gonna, I mentioned this in yesterday's class. I usually, if I start with the zenithal prime and I've got to do metallics, I black them out. Because metallics always paint better over a black undercoat. And this will also help us see the cloak a little bit better, so it's all good. All right. This will be the whole class, just me base coating. It'll be awesome. All right. So Marianne, will you be at Dice Fest again this year? Or Gen Con, for that matter? All right. Get that in there. Oh, now I'm painting this. It does have just a little bit of this cloak back here. There you go.
She said neither, sadly, life and stuff make it very much impossible.
Oh, bummer. Well, you'll be there in spirit. That's what it is. We'll drink a root beer for you. If you haven't been to Dice Fest, they have a full bar of root beer, and it's awesome. All right, so we've got that. Okay, so now just starting to put in the initial starting of the texture. I want to do sort of like a woolen texture, so it's going to be like little dots. Get this. Make sure everything's fully base coated, because that's always a bummer when you come back. Now, the cool thing is when you're doing textures, your base coat doesn't have to be perfectly even. Like, in fact, if it's a little bit uneven, it's even better. So we will start by bringing in some more of this caramel color. So now we're bringing it back almost to the caramel. So that's going to be like our, maybe not the mid-tone, but it's going to be the start of the mid-tone. I'm also going to switch out glasses so I can see closer, because I am blind as a bat. Ooh. All right. So we will start right here. Oh, you know what? Put that little bit of chainmail up here. Get it rocking. All right. So with this, with my base coats, I didn't thin the paint really. I was just using it straight out of the bottle. It's only thinned by however damp my brush was at the time, which was not very damp. And so for this, I'm going to start following. There's like little stripes on here in the sculpt. Little strips of fabric. And if I kind of just sort of dot this in, it doesn't have to be like perfect dots. We're just trying to create a pattern where some of that undercoat shows through and then some of the caramel color starts covering it up. What I'm trying to avoid is the lowest spots. So there's little seams in this fabric. You have the model, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you'll start to see it show up here, hopefully sooner than later. But having that caramel color a little bit see-through allows me to put multiple coats of it down, and it will start creating different amounts of opacity of that color over the previous coats. So we're just trying to create like some confusion here. It's kind of a fun way to paint. I don't expect you to do this on all your enemies, but for heroes, you can spend a little extra time, right? That's what it's all about. Giving a little more love to, especially the ones that are your heroes. Yeah, I actually really I've enjoyed painting some models for my friends and family, and I always paint them better than my own because I just do. So we'll just start putting in these little dots. It's kind of boring and kind of exciting at the same time. So now in the areas where it kind of goes under things like the shield where it's supposed to be darker, maybe we leave it a little bit more dark. Maybe I don't put any texture in there at all. You'll find that texture, if you look at like real life reference pictures, texture tends to go away when it gets really dark and when it gets really bright. So if it's right in the highlight section, sometimes that texture goes away because it's just the highlight is too strong and it kind of erases any texture. But texture is very prevalent in midtones and the start of shadows. So just kind of remember that. So I'll put some little dots back here. Here. And these first couple steps, you're really going to have to be vigilant and really look close because it's really hard to see anything happening really. But as you do more, we'll start to see a little bit more of the details and stuff. So don't feel bad if it looks a little bit wonky at first. So in areas where it starts getting down in the shadows down here, I'm not hitting so much in the shadow. I'm hitting more on the edge of where the crease is, because that's where you'd see that little bit of light collecting. All right, then we'll go up in here. I used to be really vigilant about making sure everything was just a perfect little dot or something, and I found out it actually looks better if that's not the case. Sometimes they're dots, sometimes they're dashes, streaks, whatever. You can refine these later, no problem. But the initial first coats, you're just trying to create a texture where there's light and dark of a color. So the little bits of dark are poking through the caramel that I'm putting over the top. And maybe on this bottom part, we'll just kind of dab in. And I'm using, kind of looking at some of what the sculpt has given me. highlighting up some of those little bumps. There's the same thing on the front. And that cricket's really going after it outside.
It's a loud cricket.
I don't know if you guys can do that, but
I think those are.
Is it a frog?
Too.
We have scream. I swear to God, they should be called screaming frogs. They're just so stinking loud. Okay, so you're starting to see a little bit of definition, right? Maybe a touch, a hair. I'm going to add a little bit more of our caramel into there, and then I'm going to start adding the ivory. So we make two different kinds of ivory. Actually, is that ivory? Or was that the... I think it was the bone color. So they have bright ivory. They got bone. Then they've got regular ivory that's not as bright. It's like a little bit duller. So we went with the not as bright ivory, and we're using bone too. So I'm going to add a little bit of that bone color to our mix up here. And I probably added too much. Maybe a little back and forth. Now, if you notice, I'm using a fairly large brush. I think this is a size 2. Zem brush from Sabat Miniatures. They're really good Klinsky sables at a really affordable price. So if you want to check them out, they are awesome. I really like them. I used to always use Raphael's, and I've kind of pretty much completely switched to this. I still love my Raphael's, but these are just as good, literally half the price. So if you're looking for good brushes, go to sabatminiatures.com. They've got some good stuff. Okay, so this one, I'm being a little bit more precise. But again, I'm not trying to get any particular order to the dots or anything. I'm trying to stay out of those cracks. See how that's starting to show up a little bit better? It's because we're getting more contrast between light and dark. I need a little bit more water in there. Like I feel like it's a little bit too opaque. And I want to be able to build up. I want to be able to do this over and over again. So go down sort of like this. And again, we'll go all the way to the bottom of these rows because we need this to be a fairly light tunic. Like that. I let my brush kind of wiggle while I'm painting. Kind of get that texture a little bit better. Up here. Barely putting pressure on this. All right. Yeah, I'm not trying to be perfect on these first applications of this color because we're going to come back and do it a couple more times. What's that?
Move it up.
There we go. So with textures, it's not a one and done technique. It's a do over and over again technique until you kind of like the final product. I'll focus on this front side a little bit more so I don't completely bore you guys. That's the thing with painting though. Sometimes it's a little bit boring. Some things don't happen just automatically. And as we get close to this, what is this, a Maltese cross or something? I will be a little bit more careful in my application there. This part's going to be hard. Because the shield's in the way. But also, the texture way down inside there is not as important because it's so deep in there. You can't see it very well. So I'll add a little bit more of that bone color. A little bit more water. Keeping my brush, the tip of my brush nice and pointy. Nice and pointy for the win. Now I'll do maybe a little bit less in here, and I'll concentrate this a little bit more towards the top of things, or things where I think like maybe a little bit of a highlight would be. Really trying to keep it random. Really trying to keep those dark lines in between these little pillowy parts of the tunic. Sometimes I put little dots down the side just so to try to get that line a little straighter and tighter. Now the picture's starting to come in a little bit clearer. You can start making decisions like on this sleeve right here. Maybe I'm focusing more towards the upper parts of these details right here. Yeah, Winsor & Newton's a very good brand too. Don't get me wrong, I really still love my Raphaels. They're great brushes, but this was the first brush where I wasn't, like usually when I try a replacement brush for my Raphaels, I try it and then I immediately go back to the Raphaels. Like, I might do one or two brushes and then I'm like, I still like the Raphaels. And this was the first brush where I never went back. So, but brushes are like anything else. Like it's like even like paint, different people like particular paints for different reasons, or they also don't like particular paints for different reasons. So, you got to find what works for you. It's not all about what all the cool kids are using, because maybe the cool kids are using something that wouldn't work for you in a million years. And so why would you try to copy them? It's worth trying, but you don't have to use or do what everyone else is doing. At the end of the day, it's whatever makes you comfortable in your painting, and you get the best results. And I think that's the most important thing. All right, so that's starting to come together a little bit.
Looks puffy.
Does it look puffy?
Yeah.
Puffy,
like
puffy. All right, So I think what I'm going to do right now, we're going to create a little bit of a glaze. It's slightly darker, but super, super thinned out. And what this is going to do is it's going to start putting a slight filter over all of this. I'm going to try to keep it in the raised sections. But what I'm trying to do is it will just make it a little bit blurry. If there's a lot of water running around, you want to wipe that off on your paper towel so that it's not going everywhere. So you can control it a little bit better. What we'll do is we start putting this glaze down. What I'm trying to do is create that little bit of a filter that blurs those dots that we've been making. Now, if they already look blurry, maybe you don't have to do it. This particular model I have to move a lot, so I'm glad.
A lot of things in the way.
Yeah, glad Liz is staying on me to keep it in the center. It's very easy to get out. So do that little bit of a glaze right there, and then we'll go right back. Maybe we'll go straight bone with a little bit of ivory. Maybe more bone than ivory, but a little bit of water, so it's a little bit see-through. See that on my thumb? It's a little see-through. And we can, again, each time that I'm putting dots, maybe I'm going a little, like being a little bit more careful, being a little bit smaller with my dots. Because now we're starting to get to kind of where we want to be. And while we can put multiple layers of these dots on, maybe being a little bit more careful, we'll get a little bit more texture and stuff, and it will look better. So it's worth slowing your roll down a little bit. To get the right effect. Again, kind of having a little bit of randomness with your application is always good. But you notice I'm kind of focusing up more towards these areas that would be normally in highlight. And maybe the edges of things. The edges can pick up light right there. Now, the worst thing that you could possibly do is make all these little dots and stuff exactly evenly spaced, because nothing in life is like that. Except for, I don't know what. Except for maybe math. Math can be super ordered, but we aren't doing math. We're doing painting. My little niece comes over here every day, and she does her ABCs, and she just counts. Yeah, with everything. All right, you go, girl. She loves them numbers. I'll have to have her count. We'll play her this video and have her count the dots that I make.
It'll just go to 10.
Yeah, that's it. You did 10. The magic dot number is 10. That's looking pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do some of those. This backside. If you notice, I haven't finished the backside of this, but I just wanted to kind of speed things up a little bit for you guys so you don't all fall asleep on me. Because if you fall asleep on me, I'm probably going to fall asleep on you. And that would be rough for the whole videoing part of this. It'd be the only video on YouTube where the host falls asleep and so do all the students. Probably go completely viral for all the wrong reasons. So maybe we'll add a little bit more water into that lighter color. I'm going to hit those again. So it's a little bit deceiving because it goes on really, really whitish. But because there's more water in it, when it dries, it's very, very see-through. So that's kind of the effect that we want. 2:30 a.m. here, so no promises. Yeah, I'm right with you. I feel like it's 2:30 a.m. here.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of late nights in a row. So did you guys get to see the finished painted Spanish war dogs? I was up till like 3 in the morning that morning painting those things. But I'm glad they made the show. They look great, but I'm paying for it now.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get to sleep in. We get up at 6, so it's very exciting. All right, so how's that looking? You guys getting the idea for this?
Thomas, which do you need the link for? The paintbrushes?
For the video.
I don't know.
All right. I'm going to take a little 2-minute break and go to the bathroom.
Oh, the painted house. Gotcha.
I'll be right back.
1 second, I'll get the thing while Aaron goes to the bathroom. All right, let's see. Oh, so it's in the live stream from Wednesday night, if I can find it. Yesterday. Yesterday. Let's see. Too far. I think I suck at trying to find things. Oh, I think this is it. Okay, it's around the 1 hour mark, I think. Yes. 59:45, something around there. No problem. You're welcome.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, this looks fantastic. I am doing a great job here. All right. So let's put on some final little doohickeys. So I'm using straight up ivory and thinned out a little bit. Let's wipe my brush off and we will. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Yes, bathroom breaks are critical.
Yeah. If you're wondering.
Nope, they're not wondering. I think everyone knows what you had to do.
Yeah.
I
had some greasy cheese quesadillas for dinner.
Lord have mercy.
And they just wanted to say hi again.
God.
Oh, Lord. Help us. I don't know what the frogs ever saw in me.
That looks so good.
What's that?
The model you're painting.
Oh.
What else would I be talking about?
It's kind of looking cool, right? It's like speckly, but not it doesn't look like it's painted speckly, it just is speckly. So I think that's the key. If you can see the dots, like you want to see the dots, but you don't want to recognize them as like, oh, I just painted a bunch of dots. Like you want to, like it needs to be very, very random, like in real life, how it would be. All right, so we're kind of getting that in there. Grab up here is the top stuff. We'll do these edges. Now, it takes some practice to do the right amount of these dots over everything. A lot of times I'll go back and forth. So I'll have, like, you can see on my palette here that I've been moving over. I've got the darker, the middle, the lighter, lighter, and even more lighter. I've got them all. So if I'm, whoa, I throw my brush. I get so violent sometimes. Yeah. Always happens after I potty. Lottie dottie dottie. I'm going to have to ask that none of you mention any of this to Scott.
It's on a recorded video.
Oh my gosh. Well, still. So then I can just start coming back in and feeding, like filling in spots where I think, it looks kind of bad. So maybe I grab some of the darker color. And down here, I fill in some of these areas just a little bit. Trying to find spots that look a little bit funky. Just make them a little less funky. Unless you were going for funky. And then, man, you did it right. Did it perfect. All right. So I would say So I like this. The tunic kind of pops out right here, so that's a good spot to put some highlights. Kind of curves inward, so it's a little bit darker, and it pops out again, and it's a little bit lighter down here. But I don't want it as light as right there, because then it will all be weird. We don't want weird. No, sorry, Bob. Now over here, I feel like this side needs to be a little bit lighter. Yeah, it's, the light's not focusing on. Come on, baby. Yeah, there we go.
I like that it focused and then you tried to turn it around.
I'll just beef up that a little bit. Okay, see, that's a little bit brighter right there. That looks cool. I'm going to give like another hit over here. Oops. Now I'm telling you to add some water to your paint, but don't add too much because then it will just be like this soupy mess. And it's very hard to control over your model. So over here, I'm going to re-hit some lighter ivory spots. Because I'm just trying to build up some of that like highlightish type color. And then you can also, I just told you don't put too much water in. You can put even more water in, make it really thin. And we can do some glazes with our ivory right over the top of the ivory. So like, you know how I said in the highlight area, sometimes the texture starts going away. This will start making the texture go away a little bit. So we are literally manipulating everything we do. Yeah.
Thomas says the painted war dogs look amazing, by the way.
Oh, you want to see them? They're right here. Oops.
Oh, duh. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. That could have just been what we did instead of making you watch the live stream.
Here they are. Yeah, they come out really cool. Like, the sculpts are just amazing.
Look at the little snarl.
If I could keep these, I would, but I can't. They're not mine. I kind of wish they would have sent me a second set, you know, just in case I messed up, and then that way I could keep them and paint them for myself. But anyways, there's always Gen Con. We'll get on it. The bases that they come with are really cool too. And it's really cute because like where the paw print is, there's actually an indented paw print right there, so that fits perfectly.
Aww.
So darling. All right. So this kind of makes sense for this type of dilly bob.
Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing. I know.
Probably your best.
Probably my best ever. Yeah. That's the other thing you need to do while you're painting. Constantly compliment yourself, like overboard, like to the point of being embarrassing. Your friends and family will love it.
Yes. I married you.
Reminds me of Chris White. I love how Chris. I love Chris so much. He's one of my favorite people. And he'll come up and he goes, I painted this new thing. It's probably the best thing you'll ever see.
Yeah.
That's how he starts the conversation.
Yeah, it's never a, hey, how are you?
Yeah. And I absolutely love it. And then he pulls something out and it's like, wow, that is pretty awesome. I like it. But, you know, he's getting you prepared for how awesome it's going to be.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll black that out. So now you can kind of see things. Super rad. So I just did cloth. Do you want me to do the leather next?
Yes.
Or the, okay.
Sorry.
Done
You
and
weren't
done.
talking to me.
I wasn't. But if I know what's good for me, I will listen to you.
Aww.
All right. So we've got, this is called a warm brown. I really like for leathers, I like a warmer brown. So this has like some orange in it, right? So warm brown, and then I'm going to pull a little bit on my palette down, and I'm going to add a little bit of black to it. So it's going to be really dark warm brown. Now you could just choose a darker brown, but you could also just make it because it's so easy. Good Lord.
So easy.
So easy. All right. So the black areas or the darker brown areas will go obviously maybe in areas that are towards the back or the bottom of leather pouches and belts. Oops. Let's try to get down in here.
Is that a little pouch?
It is a little pouch. Do you know what's in it?
Lip gloss.
Extra toilet paper. Which, by the way, we're running low on.
No, we have
I'm sure we have more.
6 12-packs.
Oh, wow. She knows me so well.
I do.
Yeah. We don't play around in this house. Okay, and then as it goes back under his, into his arm area, it'll get darker. There's the hard part about this model is the shield. I believe on this one the shield is connected.
Oh, so you can't just take it off?
No. Yeah, it's all one piece. Which is exciting. I'm like out of control.
You really are.
I'm going to put a little bit at the bottom of this. The other place that I usually make a little darker is anytime leather parts go under each other, and make it a little bit darker so it kind of like infers that it indents. It's called the indenting technique. Made it up.
Yes, you did.
And then we'll get our warm brown right next to it. Not really worried if it blends or not because it just doesn't matter on this. This leather belt is kind of thick on the sides. So we'll grab some of the darker color and paint that in so that we have a good break between the cloth and the leather. This is always like the most tedious part. Sometimes I like it. I'll tell you, this looks better, but sometimes I like it when it's sculpted a little bit shallower so I don't have to do this. Because I'm lazy. Lazy like that.
I love it when it's not.
Yeah, it definitely looks better this way. So they did the right thing. Okay, so there's that leather belt. And now we got to kind of texture it. So usually with leather, I grab a color like yellow ochre. And no, we're not going to do that. We're doing something new today. We're using shadow flesh. So this is a flesh color, but it's just like a reddish brown. Reddish tan brown. And I recently did this on another commission, box arts that I was doing. But it was not the right color for them, so I switched it back and did more ochre tones. But it looked really cool. And so now I get to do it because this is my model to work on. So we'll get a little bit of that brown. We'll grab a little bit of this reddish tone, mix it in. You got to figure with leathers, using flesh colors works because, you know, leather is was once flesh. All right, so I'm going to start with doing the outside edges, and I'm just going to draw a line down these on both sides. You can edge highlight like this. Just use the side of your brush, or you can just pull it straight, whichever you're more comfortable with. Thing is with this, there's a lot of weird areas, so you kind of gotta just use the point of your brush. And I can only go back so far. Okay. I really like, dude, I'm switching the way I do leather because
I love the way you do leather.
No. I mean, well, you don't like this way?
I've never seen you do this way.
Oh. Well, I mean, it's the same way I always do leather, but it's just a different color scheme.
Oh.
So we'll get these edges. Leather or belts will fray on both sides of the belt. So you can put a highlight on the top and the bottom. Normally, like if you notice on clothing, I'm not going to put a highlight at the bottom of this cape because that's not where the sun shines, right? Highlights at the bottom of things generally only happen in metallics. So like, I already lost that one model. See if we can see on this thing. I put edge highlights at the bottom edge of like this, and that's indicative of metallics. Way down in the shadows of this knee right here, there's some shininess that's happening, which you either can or can't see. But
It's blurry.
good times. I swear to God, it's there. So on leathers, you can highlight the top and the bottom, and that sort of helps you define the whole area, which is kind of nice. But it also gives that like rugged look to it. You know, this leather's old. This is an old pouch, and it's worn away. Oops. It's worn right off the camera. That's what it is. So we'll put some of this up. Now, if you mess up, it's okay because we can just take our darker brown and come back and cover that up wherever you messed up. So it's very forgiving. So put that right there. This bottom part of the leather bag will get rubbed off for sure. And then where it kind of rolls around underneath, all that stuff gets rubbed away. So got that. Now I want to give like a little bit of texture that will show up onto the main part of the leather. So I'm going to thin out. I made a mixture of like maybe 50-50 of the warm brown and the shadow flesh. And I'm going to do, it's kind of similar to what we did down here, but maybe more in like a streaky back and forth kind of way. So just kind of make little line scratches, dots every once in a while. We're just kind of breaking up the evenness of the paint and also inferring that there's like scratches and stuff that are happening. So like that. And then we can start adding lighter colors. So what lighter color do I want to add? I think in this case, no ochre. We're using bright ivory. Okay, just so you guys know, ochre is my favorite color, and it should go into everything, but it's not going into the leather today. So
it feels weird.
Listen,
it feels like you're doing things wrong.
Yeah.
In your own technique.
So you gotta ask, did the real Aaron Lovejoy come back from the bathroom, or am I like a?
Hey, I used to do that to my siblings when I was a kid.
You would switch out of bodies.
I would pretend that I was someone else when I came back in the room to scare my siblings because I was a mean kid.
Would you say, "Oi, put another shrimp on the bobby"?
I would tell them I was either a ghost or that I was an alien.
Well, that explains a lot, Miss Lovejoy.
Yeah. You married.
All right. If you guys are new to the show, last year I used to have my girlfriend come and do this, but I just kicked her right to the curb. And I married Liz, and now she's in charge.
Poor Horace. I'm the same person. Just FYI.
So now I'm kind of like, I'm dotting in some little more rougher marks. that also kind of infer a highlight, but also it's just the like really rubbed away parts of the leather. So I can kind of, sometimes I don't put it on the bottom side of the belt, but this belt's almost vertical. So, well, duh, we know we're so perfect. Golly. Golly.
Oh, Lord.
Tough class today. Saying that we're perfect for each other? That's crazy talk. Yeah. I think we are pretty good for each other.
Agreed.
We're good at driving each other crazy, but I also don't know what I'd do without her. So it works out really well. But I think that's also normal life.
Especially when you spend 24/7 together.
Yeah, we both are stay-at-home moms, basically, or workers or whatever. So we're just here all the time. All right, so you see I'm kind of like bringing up a little bit brighter color. But if you notice on my palette, I made it lighter, but it's still got that pinkish, reddish, brownish color to it. So I'm letting the saturation in this color helps it to show up a little bit better. So if I went too white, it would actually start looking flatter and not be as much of a highlight. So if you're finding your highlights in any color not showing up very well, try saturating them a little bit more. It's weird. It will make them darker to an extent, but it will also make them brighter, show up better. So thus a better highlight. That's the only tip you're going to get from me today. Besides all the other ones. I'm not good at lying. Liz knows this.
I do.
Very, very well. Okay, so we got that. I really want to do some more lines going through this leather belt. So I put some of them in there with that color that was almost the same color, but a little bit lighter. And now, see if we can't get a couple little scratches that show up a little bit more. And these can be just sort of random spots. Just very lightly touching my brush to the model. And again, if I go too much, I can always bring back some of that brown and just fix it. So there's a buckle right there, so I'm not going to hit that. So that's kind of looking like the old leather. Maybe we go even a little bit lighter. You know what? Just for Liz's sake, we're going to add a little ochre.
Yeah.
Bring it. Bring that beat back. So yellow is the brightest color on the color wheel, and thus will show up the best. So if we add a little bit of yellow to this final highlight, and then maybe a little bit more of the ivory. We can do ivory or white, but ivory. I like this bright ivory. Looks good. Now, I'll just kind of peppercorn it in. I'll do a little bit right here. So in this case, less is more. If you do too much of this, it's not really going to have the effect that you want of accentuating a highlight. So all those colors just kind of go in. They look pretty cool. We'll do a little bit back here. And then we can take our darkest color, thin it out even more, and we'll go back and kind of do some little glazes here with that really dark color. I'm always kind of pulling it in the direction in which I want it to be the darkest. So when I end my brush stroke, it leaves a little bit more paint, and hopefully I'm I'm banking on the fact that it will make that area a little bit darker. It won't make it much darker because I really, really thinned it out, but down like that. Also noticed I'll make some more of my thicker color. Now we're painting the bottom side of this part of the belt. So there we go. We got some dark areas, a little bit lighter areas. We have the edging. You can see everything fairly well. And that's that. Yeah. What time is it? 11, 10, 17.
It's 10:07.
10:07. Hey, I got my really high-powered glasses on. I just can't see that far away.
Marianne said, "How do you keep paint out of the ferrule? I swear I ruin brushes that way. Yet I'm really careful to never over soak my brushes with paint."
Well, Marianne, I don't think you're being as careful as you think you are. Look at my brush. It's only halfway up. I'm not loading the brush very much with paint. So maybe start thinking about not loading your brush as much. Or just using the tip of your brush and just reloading more often. I used to worry about that a lot, and I just don't anymore. And I don't know. I've been to painting classes with master painters, and they have got paint all the way halfway up the ferrule. So, I don't know. I don't know how much of a problem it is. I do know if that paint dries in the ferrule, it's harder to make a point. So I would just try keeping your paint down at the lower end of the brush. Maybe use a bigger brush too. Maybe, I don't know how big of brushes you're using, but just be a little bit more vigilant and where your paint's going. But I typically don't go past the halfway mark. So if you don't go past the halfway mark, guess who doesn't have paint in their ferrule? Feral tiger. I don't know what that word is. Ferrule? Ferris Mueller. No. 00 and 2. Yeah, so maybe just pay more attention to the brush. Sometimes when you're painting fast, bad things happen, to your brushes. I know that you can burn through a really good brush very quickly if you army paint with them or speed paint with them, because the faster you're painting, the faster your brush stroke is, and you're wrecking that brush. So, okay, so I kind of blocked that out so you can see that. It's looking pretty tiki torch. Now we're going to do the white cape, okay? So what color do you think I'm going to use to paint the white cape?
Blue.
No. Oh, if you see in this, I think I stayed in the caramel a little bit longer. I like it both ways. Looks cool. Okay.
I like this one. It kind of looks a little green.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start my white with ochre, because why not? Just going to put it right in that other color. And we need black. And we need white. And there is our shadow for white. Maybe a little bit more black. So I don't want it to be too yellow, but the ochre is definitely integral for this color. All right, so on this, I'm going to paint, this is my shadow color. I'm going to paint all the shadows that my zenithal prime gave us. So.
And notice that he does have paint up towards the ferrule.
Hey, you shut your dirty little mouth. I don't know what you're talking about.
So it does happen.
It does happen.
But just don't let it dry.
I was mixing colors.
Yeah, with speed paints and inks or washes and stuff, you can try using synthetics instead.
Yeah, usually on my base coats I'm using synthetics. because they actually put down a more even coat of paint. And I don't care if I ruin a 25-cent brush. So, okay, so that's the first color. Put it where I see shadows. I see shadows up here too. So maybe we'll just put a little bit of this right here. Yep, a little bit right there. This guy's a cowboy. Right there is a little bit darker. All right, we're going to come over here. And we'll cut it off right there. If you notice, I'm not trying to blend things out or anything. I'm just putting color in straight. Or straight lines. Looks so cool. And then we'll go over here. The blurry.
Yeah, there we go.
You don't have to hit every single dark area, but most of them is good. You can also make dark areas where there isn't a dark area. So you can make your own folds in the cloak cape thing. The Superman cape. So again, this color is not super thinned out. It's just kind of average. I'm going to make this whole area a little bit darker down in here. And then I will pull this color around into all these crevasses. I love when you try to put paint on the model and it just doesn't come off your brush. It's like 1, 2, 3 strokes. What the heck's going on here? Got that. Looks like there's a little bit of something here, and maybe it just sort of flicks down like that. There's a little bit right there. Maybe I'll just fake it.
Till you make it.
Fake it until you make it. That is correct. All right, so we got our shadow colors on. Put some of these in the front.
Blurry.
All right, now I'm going to start mixing in more of, whoops, not ivory, just white. And this will be our, probably should have left a little bit of that for blending later, but this will be our first like mid-tone color. You see that's quite a bit lighter, maybe a little bit lighter than that. On this, I'm going to try to hit these upper areas and try to stop pretty close to where those shadow colors are. Like that. Top of this. This really is sort of paint by numbers. That's what makes it so much fun. Maybe we do. I think there could be a little highlight right here. Better just put a couple lines like that. Looks a little weird now, but hopefully it won't look weird later. Don't tell on me. Don't tell Scott. Aaron, put some weird lines on that guy. So bring some of these. Sometimes I just start by painting the obvious areas for highlights. So all the tops of those folds. And we're not really doing highlights. It kind of looks like a highlight now because we got that shadow color in. But it's more of the mid-tone-ish kind of color. So we'll bring this in. I'm also okay with there being some like blotchiness to the paint. I used to try to, just be like, oh, I'll put 50 layers on to get everything like perfect. But sometimes all that perfectness messes you up later. So don't freak out too much if I'm being a little bit loosey-goosey here. I can just hear Marianne right now. He's not doing it right. Wait a second. It's funny, in a year, I might be painting this completely different. So it's, it's kind of the way painting goes. You constantly evolve. Also, you just kind of get bored of how you were doing it. So maybe we come back in where some areas are starting to dry. I'm re-hitting them. Maybe strengthen that color a little bit more. Again, insisting on the color, so it's more getting closer to opacity. It's funny how quick this comes together, though. I really like doing this on gaming miniatures because I can paint them really fast and they look pretty decent, but I don't have to spend a lot of time on them, and that is the key.
Also, I love the fact that the past 2 nights you painted headless guys.
Yes, I did. Well, because, yeah, I don't know. I have the heads ready to go, but kind of wanted to paint them separately, but we're not doing a face painting class, so.
No.
All right. Hey, Brian Bosch isn't in this class, is he?
Nope.
I haven't heard a bunch of questions from him, so.
No.
I like Brian. He's a wild and crazy guy. So the other thing I found when you're doing these, like painting in these highlights, see how it's starting to come together, right? A little bit. When you go back over a highlight area, maybe you don't hit it exactly the same. Maybe there's like an ebb and flow to your brush strokes. So there's like multiple brush strokes in different spots on each highlight. And then as you start filling in those brush strokes in between each other, they start creating like little micro folds and stuff in the fabric. It looks really good. I don't know why it took me 20 some odd years to figure that out, but it did. That was the secret move that I didn't want to show anybody. All right. So I probably in this area should have just painted this all really dark and then come back in and painted the highlights on top of it because
Hindsight.
it's 2020. Or in my case, blind. All right. Okay, so these top ones will go maybe a little bit lighter. black out his head hole. That's the technical term for it. Don't laugh, Liz.
I mean, it is a head hole.
It is a head hole. And we'll black out this thing. So if those were going to be light colors, I probably wouldn't black them out, but I might paint them the base coat color. But in this case, they're metallic, and then that rope is some other color.
Probably a chain.
It was red. No, it's a red rope. It was a red in the box. It was like, no, it was green in the box art, but like really dark. So it probably just looks like a black rope. End of the day. So my little wet palette is just slowly moving across my table. And now we go. Maybe I will put just a little bit of that ivory, bright ivory in there. Because it's got a little bit of yellow. We could have just put ochre back into it, but it's got a little bit of yellow in it, so maybe it will be a little bit brighter. And bring these around. Put some of these highlights down lower. So again, when I'm putting these in, I'm kind of like doing like brush strokes. I need like a zapper.
Yeah.
You can just zap me.
Or even just a sound buzzer.
No, that would be annoying for everybody.
No, just for you to hear.
That would I would kill somebody. I would
Oh, okay.
feel really bad about it too, but I would do it. So again, I'm kind of like drawing little lines. Oops. So nothing's like just a straight line. It's several smaller lines. And what we're hoping when we glaze over this, that it will kind of tie everything together and it won't look like just straight lines. It will, or curvy lines. It will just look like micro folds in the fabric. Kind of natural. I'm gonna go a little bit darker down here. Here.
Is this one resin or thermoplastic?
I think this is thermoplastic.
Okay.
But I don't know because I didn't have the actual packaging. They just sent me the model, so it's something. It's getting harder to tell the difference between the two, so I would not be bummed if they 3D printed some of the models. That'd be cool too. Look at that. Let's continue on down here. like. See that? Just kind of thinking outside the box. We'll call it that. Wow, the texture on the back here is awful. Oh, I didn't paint it. Oops. Kind of go down there. That actually is too dark. So I can start making some decisions on bringing a little bit of this right here, there. Goes down like that. So it'd be interesting to see some of you guys try this, because just to see what what it comes out of other people's minds, you know, as far as like how they do their brushstrokes and stuff. Up here. So here's the cool thing. We're using pretty close to the same colors, but we're getting a really, really different result, which is cool. So you can have like, everything's very kind of monotone, but it's like different monotones. It's based on how much white and black you use and all that good stuff. Go like that. As I go, I just keep coming back and reevaluating things. Could it be a little bit, would it look better if there's highlights were a little bit lighter up here? We can also put the shadows deeper if we need to. Let's go down here. This bottom one would probably be a little bit lighter too. So I just start going through and like I made some decisions early on with how dark or light things should be. But as you keep painting, you're like, oh, that looks too dark, so lighten it up. Or it looks too light, darken it up. Works both ways. Let's see, on the top of this cloak, let's add a little bit more black. Maybe a touch more yellow. And I'm going to try to get my brush as thin as I can possibly get it. And we're going to draw in some of these creases. So they just get a little bit darker, and then that gives us a little bit more detail up here. And you'll notice, even in real life, the stuff at the top has darker shadows. I think it's just because there's a lot of light stuff up there, and so the shadows appear darker. I don't think they actually are. It's just the way our eyes perceive them. So we can paint them in a little bit darker, and then that way also you get more contrast up there. Let's see here. I need to go darker back in here. I don't think I painted that at all. Get some of these folds back here a little bit darker. Sometimes I'm smarter from the very start, and I build in the shadows and I keep them from the very start so I don't have to put stuff back in. But I think there's something to be said about going back and forth a little bit. I think it's more, you get more natural looks. you'll get a better result. So if you're trying to be perfect from the very start, you probably won't be. And then your friends and family will laugh at you. And we don't want that. You can go. It's really bright again. And there we kind of go. All right, now we can start doing like some in-betweener colors. Maybe like a middle of the road gray. And we can start trying to glaze them a little bit over areas to make it look less like there's brush strokes and more like everything's just sort of blended together. You could technically just glaze over the whole thing and that will kind of do it. But the problem is you change all the colors and I don't really want to do that. So go over here, get the edge of this. And again, we don't have to be exactly perfect. Just trying to get in between the two colors. Got a lot of paint on my brush still. There, that's a little bit better. What I'm trying to do is just soften the edges of everything. So right now we're starting to blend. So just kind of putting this see-through-ish color over. I'm gonna have to do it a few times. Maybe I go up further into the highlight in certain spots. In other spots I don't go very high up into the highlight at all. I want to keep most of that highlight. So just keep putting this on. Notice I'm kind of doing these all in like little even brush strokes. They're all over the place. So that will help me not make new brush strokes if possible. Up here, grab a little bit more of this. You can start getting closer to the model, I guess. Like physically me closer. I guess you can't see me, so.
Oh. Your face is closer.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sitting here going, what is he talking about?
What model?
No, I was like, what is he moving closer to the model?
Yeah, I'm physically getting closer to the model so I can see where I can see the brush strokes. And so I'm kind of just trying to cover those up. I've got lots of areas to choose from in my colors over here on the palette. So what I'll try to do, I'll just try to, I always try to grab a color that looks a little bit darker than what I want to go on the model because usually it's just the right color. So that's kind of my gauge. If I try to mix a color or grab a color that's exactly the color I want, it's always too light. So err on the side of a little bit too dark and you should be fine. Putting these in. This is kind of an acquired taste. You got to start figuring out where to grab paint from on your palette, and you don't ever know that without trying. So you just got to do it. Now I'm finding like really small details that I can sort of pick out. It's looking pretty cool. Up here actually looks pretty good because it was all like really light colors, but I can make sure that I don't have any brush strokes or abrupt ends to the... I guess out of everything that I've taught tonight, this is the most technical, but I know that there's people with different levels of painting. So if we do everything super easy, then not everyone will be happy. So this one's definitely a little bit higher end, but you know what? If you're a new painter, I would go ahead and try it anyways, because maybe you just do it and it's not a high-end technique. So that would be great. Just skip ahead. Add a little bit more of this ivory, a little bit more water to that. So I want the front of this really, really bright. Maybe I'll kind of like dot in some of these highlights. So it's not really, I'm not trying to make full-on texture. Like we kind of have a texture of the how the robe looks. As far as like the highlights and stuff go, there's all these little lines in here, and as I'm blending them, they're starting to go away, but they're still there. Oops, and then you burp. But excuse me. I swore to Scott I wouldn't burp in this, but I did. I'm just trying to get into some, sometimes if you can get a little highlight in between some dark shadows, that can look really cool. So cool. Okay. I'll keep. Sometimes I'll build up a highlight with just brush strokes, and then I'll glaze over it with the same color, kind of knock it back down a little bit or make it all a little bit more even. So okay. It's worked out perfectly. Exactly as I planned. I'll go over here. Speaking of 10 minutes, does anybody have any questions in particular? You can question my sanity, but I'm not sure I will answer. So, or maybe I will answer. That's the scary part. So you notice before my brushstrokes were all really big, long streaks and stuff, and now they're starting to get smaller and more precise. Like maybe up here, this goes down, that comes in. I need some little bit more of that darker color in between there. It's not good to have those little beads of paint because a lot of times they will create like little tea stains. But you can also just kind of move them around. that. Oh, now Liz is burping. It's only partially loud.
It was quiet.
If I just keep going back and forth, I can start making it so it doesn't look like there are brush strokes. Now, part of this, if you want them all gone, you're going to spend some time on this. But, like for right now, this looks like a pretty good gaming figure, I think. Once I get the rules for this guy, I'm going to be using them all the time, Liz. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, okay.
That's very aggressive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I tend to do that.
There we go.
Bzzz. Very cool. Do a little bit more white. And a little bit. And I probably won't put any on the back side of this. I want my highlights to be strongest right there. I'll let them wrap around the back side a little bit. So I usually have two light sources on a model where it's coming from the front. So in this case, it's coming from his right hand, sword hand side right there. And then typically, when you turn the model around, most people think you should have it right there. Now, in this case, I would put it right there too because he's going to be looking forward. The sword's up here. But sometimes it looks better on the back side. And once the person turns the model around, they don't remember which side the light was on. So it doesn't really matter. You can put it on either side. So, but anyways, that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting the light on this side, on the back side of the model. Maybe not as intense as on the front. So I see sort of a happy accident fold right here. That fold's not sculpted into the model, but I'm just going to put it there. So there's a little bitty highlight at the bottom of this fold. Just going to edge in some of these highlights. And there you have it. Not bad for 40 minutes of painting.
That was an hour. Oh, you mean yes?
Yes.
You were correct. I am happy.
So this is where we've gotten to with both of these models in two 2-hour classes. Not too shabby. So I would do the same thing on this, but maybe with purple or blue or something like that. Red, I don't know. And once again, let's take a look at the box arts. Here's this dude. They need to do a bunch of Crusaders. I'm just saying that right now. Oh, now on this guy, I added some dirt and stuff at the bottom. So there's that too. You can always throw some life into it. You want to see some perilous adventure stuff? I know what you're thinking. Those pirate ship bases are amazing, and they are. I sculpted them. This is one of the, what is this, a deep walker? I think that's what they're called. We've also got, these things are super cool. Tentacles. I believe this model and this model are both in the regular game too. Like you can play them in the game, but they're also in Perilous Adventures. What else do we got from Perilous Adventures? This isn't a small ship. Let's compare it to a dog. The dog's bigger than the boat. That's how small this stuff is.
It's so tiny.
But it makes it pretty quick to paint up. So you can paint your setup. And the detail's very nice. Super cool. I've got, whoa. As I break all my,
of the models.
luckily those were the ones I just painted that don't matter. Here's one of the, what are these, the Gorgons? This is the Medusa chick. Super cool. They came out great. Want to see her friends? There's her friends. Again, super good sculpts. Really fun to paint. A lot of detail. So you know all the detail and the scales and stuff make it a little harder to paint. But nothing a little dry brushing can't help you out with. And then regular paint brushing, all that good stuff. You can kind of see in the fabric here, I did the same sort of technique. Except the shirt's slightly green. Added a little bit of green to it. We've got some really cool Greek heroes.
Is that a Valkyrie?
No, it's just a Greek. You can play this. This is like one of the heroes that you can play now. She's super rad.
She has Medusa on her shield.
Same with this cloak. See, I did a lot of vertical or straight lines coming down, bending with the curve, but they're not all exactly going with the shape of the fold. Here we got this guy's rad. These are two of my favorite models. They're super cool. So this guy's pose is just super good. He's ready to wreck some stuff. And what else do I have? Oh, I've got the new, whoops. Oh, his head fell off. Okay, just to my credit, they don't want me to glue the heads on because they weren't sure which head they wanted. But is that not super cool? But I will say the female version is just disgustingly sick. Look at that.
I love it.
This chick is just bad to the bone. I could see Liz playing that character. And here's the other male, Greek. Again, super good. Really good detail on the shield and stuff. These models are super fun to paint, you know? Same deal with the highlights, you know, like not all these folds are back here. It's just painted that way. So I'm using the actual folds and I'm making up folds. And then here's the Queen's Knight, female version. That robe is just electric. That's so crazy. Anyways, that's my show and tell for today. Maybe I'll have some more tomorrow if you come back. I forgot how to work my OBS. Boo! Whoops. Wrong one.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez Louise. All right. Let me move this out of the way so you can see my pretty mug. Hopefully my camera doesn't fall down.
That would not be good.
Rock and roll. Well, thank you all for coming out. I'm glad that we made it the right time this time. And that makes us all happy, right? It does. Once again, this video will be up on the Miniature Monthly YouTube page in a folder, the Shadows of Brimstone Roll to Move playlist. And you don't, I mean, it's just free to watch. So yeah, check it out. Check some of the old ones out. There's some really cool stuff in there that I've done over the years. And you know, maybe if you're coming to Gen Con or something, you'll see some of these figures I painted in the class there, because a lot of times I'll bring my own stuff to Gen Con, and it's always fun to bring stuff that I painted live on stream. So anyways, thank you all for coming out. And was there any last questions? Yes, no, maybe so. Everyone's asleep.
I said thank you, lots of techniques to think about. Thank you, that was great. Thanks so much. Looking forward to tomorrow.
I am too. Tomorrow's going to be sick. We're doing something big and we're doing it fast. So I think that's always the theme with my painting. Do it fast, but sometimes it's better than other times, you know? But yeah, I'm super excited about tomorrow. We're doing some big old figures. So, or at least one, maybe two. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So, all right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Good night. Bye.